Have you ever really stopped to think about what holds our world together? I'm not talking about concrete or steel, but the people. Every single day, our lives are supported by this incredibly complex architecture of human effort. And the crazy part is, most of the time, we don't even see it. So today we're going to pull back that curtain on these unseen architects and the invisible structures they work so hard to maintain for all of us.
Okay, so as we dive into this, I want you to just keep one question in the back of your mind. Seriously, take a second and think about it. Who holds your world together? Is it the person who makes your coffee in the morning? The folks who deliver your packages? The team that makes sure the lights switch on every single time? Well, as we're about to find out, the answer is often way bigger and a lot less visible than we tend to imagine.
So the core idea we're going to unpack today comes from sociologists like Michel Lamont, and it's something called the recognition gap. Now, this isn't just another talk about income inequality, as important as that is. Nope, this goes deeper. It's more fundamental. It's a gap in how we perceive worth, a huge disparity in dignity. It's all about who our society decides to see, to celebrate, and to listen to. And of course, who it makes functionally invisible.
And this right here is the heart of the matter. This has nothing to do with the size of a paycheck. You could have a high-paying job and still feel completely unseen. The real problem is what some call a dignity deficit. It's a situation where millions of people are doing work that is absolutely essential for all of us, yet they get almost zero public acknowledgement for it. And listen, this isn't about a few rude people here and there. It's a collective blind spot, something that's kind of woven into the fabric of our culture.
Okay, so if this huge recognition gap exists, who are the people living in it? Let's spend some time bringing a few of these pillars of our daily lives out of the shadows, so we can really see the work that makes our own lives possible.
Let's just start with that phrase, wow. It completely reframes the role of sanitation workers, doesn't it? It just goes to show how much power language has to shape how we see things. Changing just one word, from collector to guardian. Well, it transforms a role we might not think twice about into one of heroic importance. They're not just taking out the trash, they're literally guarding the health and safety of our cities.
I mean, just look at the disconnect here. It's massive. On one side of the scale, you have their immense contribution, the health and the basic functioning of our cities. Without them, our world would grind to a halt in days, facing disease, total chaos. But on the other side of that scale, the social value we give them is next to nothing. This is the recognition gap in its starkest form. You've got maximum societal contribution met with minimal perceived worth.
Now let's turn to another group, caregivers, people who care for the elderly, the disabled, the sick. They provide the most intimate, personal support you can imagine, all built on a foundation of incredible trust. They aren't just doing tasks, as the caption says so perfectly, they are the architects of dignity for people when they are at their most vulnerable.
What we often fail to see is just how taxing this work is, not just physically, but emotionally. Can you imagine the emotional labor involved? Managing grief, providing constant comfort, being this unwavering source of patience. And yet, this profession is still one of the most chronically underpaid and undervalued, often filled by women and people from marginalized communities. It's about time we recognize emotional labor for what it is, real, skilled work, not just a calling that's used to justify poor pay.
And what about the people who literally create the environments where we work and learn and heal? The invisible hands of order. Every clean hospital hallway that stops an infection from spreading, every safe school where our kids can learn, every office that just works, none of it just happens. It exists because someone, usually unnoticed and unheard, made it that way. And their invisibility means their own concerns, maybe about safety or needing more resources, often go unheard too, which just makes their essential work that much harder. This contrast is just a perfect snapshot of our societal priorities. Think about it. We have libraries, these temples of knowledge, and we rightly build monuments and name buildings after scholars and artists. But then you have the fields. We celebrate the final meal, right? The celebrity chef gets all the glory. But where are the statues for the farm workers whose backbreaking labor made that meal possible in the first place? Both are absolutely essential for a thriving civilization, but they live in totally different worlds when it comes to our collective respect.
This really shows us a fundamental truth. At the very bottom, holding everything else up, are agricultural workers. I mean, every meal, every community, every single city is built on their labor, yet they remain some of the most marginalized people in the world, facing things like precarious legal status, dangerous working conditions, and wages that are just a world away from how essential their work is. They're the base of the pyramid, carrying the weight of all of us on their shoulders.
So we've met some of these unseen architects. But what's the actual cost of all this invisibility? Why does it matter so much? Well, it's because being seen, being recognized, it isn't just a nice thing to have. It is a fundamental human need, and the cost of denying it is just immense.
This really gets to the core of it. Recognition isn't a luxury item. It's the bridge that connects us to each other, that spans all the divides in our society. It's the thing that confirms we belong to the human community. And when that bridge is missing, people are left isolated, devalued, and disconnected. And a society with too many of those missing bridges, well, it becomes fragmented and pretty unstable.
And there it is, the core argument for Michel Lamont put in the most powerful way possible. Recognition is as essential to our minds as food is to our bodies. Just let that sink in. This reframes everything. When we deny people recognition, we're not just being rude, we are, in a very real way, starving them of a basic nutrient for mental and emotional health. This isn't about being too sensitive, it's about fundamental human psychology that leads to real, measurable harm, like chronic stress, burnout, and depression.
All right, let's break this down. First, it's a basic human need. It's how we build a stable sense of who we are and where we belong. Second, there's the harm of its opposite, misrecognition. And this isn't just about being ignored, it's about being seen incorrectly, through the lens of a negative stereotype. That kind of distortion can be even more damaging than being invisible. And third, and this is what's so powerful, the struggle for recognition is a huge catalyst for positive social change. Think about it. The great movements for civil rights, labor rights, women's rights, at their heart, they were all struggles to be seen and valued as fully human.
So understanding the problem is the first step, right? But it can't be the last. So the crucial question becomes, what can we actually do about it? Let's get into some practical things we can all do to start closing this gap and building a world that truly values everyone.
Change really begins the moment we decide to use our voices. It's not just about having respectful thoughts, it's about external acts of advocacy. That could mean speaking up at a town meeting for better working conditions, or, just challenging a friend's dismissive comment about a certain job. It's about making respect a public conversation. So how can we start making a real difference? Here are 4 clear, actionable steps. First, educate yourself. Just take a little time to learn about the essential, often invisible jobs that keep your community going. Second, practice empathy. Make a conscious effort to listen and to try and understand the challenges that people in these roles are facing. Third, speak up. Use your voice to challenge stereotypes and push for fair wages and dignified working conditions. And finally, something so simple but so incredibly powerful. Show genuine, specific gratitude. A sincere, thank you for making sure this place is always so clean. That does so much more than just show appreciation. It validates someone's worth and makes them feel truly seen. So as we wrap this up, let's boil it all down. It really starts with a conscious, personal choice. See the invisible. Actively look for the people whose work supports your life. Then take action to close the gap. Every gesture of respect, every time you speak up, you're chipping away at that systemic invisibility. And the ultimate goal here isn't just to be nicer people. It's to build a healthier, more resilient, more connected society where everyone truly matters, not just in words, but in actual practice.
And that brings us right back to the beginning, but with a new challenge. We started by asking who holds your world together. Now, I'm going to leave you with a more active question to take with you. Looking out at the world through this new lens, who will you choose to see today?